So welcome back for the 30th class of the 30th chapter of MySQL database. Okay, so here we will be working on stored procedures and functions. So here this gets a little complicated here. So we know a little bit functions, we have a little bit idea of case function, and we used if else. Remember all those we used to, some idea kind of thing, right? Here this is completely different here. So we'll try to see if we can execute this SQL, but we might not have access at all for this stored procedure to run, but we'll try this. It's not harm in trying, right? I didn't get any error while doing this, but we don't know until we run it. So let's see if this stored procedure runs. If this runs, then let's talk about that what it does and what we are trying to do here. Ooh, this SQL did run here. So now let's try to understand what it's trying to do. Okay. Now see, the thing is, okay, here we are using delimiter dollar. What it does is, this guy didn't explain that. Okay, never mind. So we are using this, this is like start of the command and delimiter end of the command. So ending, we are using this dollar. Okay, drop procedure. If there is a procedure which is already there, you want to drop it. If it exists, okay, then it's loop node. Okay, so now we are creating a procedure. Remember, so far we are creating a table, then we created a views, then we created table, we created data, a lot of things. So here we are creating procedure. There is a function called procedure, called sp_nested loop. I'm not sure this thing shows up here because it's not a table. This is a stored procedure. So stored procedure shows up here, does it? Okay, I'm going to try to see select procedure, but here don't show up here in the table, right? Yeah. Okay. And we are trying to insert that. We are not inserting it. We are in nested loop where you are giving these parameters here in the loop parameters, and then you're saying to begin, declare the value integer with the default a, with b default 0. We are using while loop where a is greater than I, so you are using some variables here. Okay, do until this gets incremented, and +1 and end, and then set a. So you are actually, what you are trying to do, this is a simple program. Actually it's a program, but it's a program, but to run, not sure what exactly this thing is running here. Let's try to, this guy didn't give what is this for. It's supposed to give something. Okay, so we run this, once we have ran this. So this is while loop. You are using this while loop, and you're using this, set. And let's see here. Oh, we can roll back to here. We have options of roll back. Okay, so that's after running this procedure. This is a stored procedure, and we will just run this and see what the response of this is. That's 100, 200, 240. 200 to 40 years. I'm sorry, 10. Sorry. So here we are putting Z 10, 20, 40. So this at symbol, right? At means that you're using this stored procedure actually. Okay. So that's how you run this stored procedure. Okay. So this is just an example. So I'm just giving an example. This is very simple, and it's kind of joke because in real time I've seen the stored procedure of like 2-3 like almost 50-60 lines of code, not beyond that because I never got a chance. But here this is simple. Here you are using this drop procedure because if there is any procedure you want to drop it, and if it exists you want to do this, and then create procedure called sp underscore nested loop, but whatever you're trying to do. Here in here you're giving the integer value int. So what's this all about? So here what you're trying to do here is putting some values here. So these are all you're putting some. I is a variable. Okay, so what you're trying to do here is I is variable, j is variable, x is variable, y is variable. Okay, everything is variable. Wow, that's good. Okay, so here this is variables. We are assigning this variables in this something called sp underscore nested underscore loop. All right, whatever that is, that itself might be a variable. Great. Okay, so then begin declare a as integer default. Okay, this is variable, we are giving default integer default. Okay, great. Now what you are trying to do with this is a you are putting as greater than I. Okay, where is I? Yeah, I. So initially it will be 0 is in yeah, told you right, or 0 here for I you didn't give it. Okay. So we are to increment that c is equal to c plus 1, and then again set b is equal to b1, and you want to do this until and where until b is less than j. You have to do this, right? This is what it's going to loop. You understand this loop? Keep on doing this, c plus 1, it keeps doing this until b is greater than j. I'm not sure when this happens, but okay, we did. And then end once it's b is greater than j. Sorry, it's less than. So it gets to the next loop. It gets to the next loop here. Here what it does is a is equal to a plus 1, set b end. So again the same loop is repeating, and then you end it. So here what we are trying to do is a store procedure with in out and in out parameter. So here what you are trying to do here is you are setting up a loop and incrementing that values into that variable. So we are assigning this variable I, j, x, y, whatever it is. It is variables. You can assign whatever you want, I, j, x, your name, my name, whatever to you. But that's not the point. The point is here you are incrementing it, and you're telling to stop that loop when this is happening. What is happening? B is greater than j. No, what? Less than j. So here you know. So this is so b is less than j, and the loop keeps going out. So these are two loops basically we are trying to do, and it ends. If it ends, then you have to go to second loop. Okay, if that ends, then you go to the third loop. So here basically you're in the loop 1, loop 2, loop 3. You can create any number of loops. So that's what the store procedure is trying to do. Now what happening is, now you want to see the values. Oh no, this is, yeah, once you've done this, all this kind of once you assign this variable and you assign some values, the values gets updated into this variables, and you are trying to see here setting up this 30 and you are calling that nested loop, what we assigned here to, right? This is the loop, nested loop, and assigning 10, 20, show the values of x, y, and z. So it's showing us 10, 200, 240. Right? So don't tell me how you get this result here. The way you get it is based on these loops. here we are 3 loops, 1, 2 and 3. So based on this loop and what the loop is all about, you want to see this function here, what it's trying to do. It's b is less than j or a is less than I, those kind of things. So this is about the store procedure. This is just an example. This is a joke, this doesn't work. This is just one example in Ocean. Simple and very simple example. We never use strings here. Okay, we just use some numbers. When you use strings in those variable, things becomes more complex. So we are not using any strings. Luckily, that was easy. Okay, it's pretty easy. We are using only 3 loops and we are ending it. That's called store procedure. That's all. Okay. Once you start using strings in that loops, it gets too complex. But we don't want that, because you want to assign not int. You go like, I'm not sure, it's char. You have to use where char, not int. Okay, so when you're using this, so you have to be very careful. Okay, that's pretty much about this. Let's this one thing. Now let's create a function. So you can create your own function. Okay. Let's try to create one. So let's say this here. So that was about the store procedure. And we'll just create function right now. Will it work? It did. Okay, so we created a function called function name, and we returns integer, begins return 12 and delimiter. Okay, so we created a function, but it doesn't show up anything here. But now once it's created that function, so we want to see what function did it create already, right? So we want to select function name. Alright, so let's do that. So what it shows 12. That's right, it's 12. So what we are doing in this store procedure, no, I'm sorry, we are done with store procedure. Function. What we are doing here in the function is we are creating delimiter here and create function and the function name. So this is what we are trying to get at. Remember we create tables, created databases. Similarly, we are creating function. That's all. Okay, this is what this one line statement means. Okay. Returns means int, your return and your begin your program, return 12. Alright, that was easy. So whatever value you put here is supposed to show up here. It's that simple actually. So, I hope so. But yeah, let's see here. So define this function. This will be taken on the notes. Okay. So that's how you create this function. Okay. So let's go to the next. Okay, so now this is more complex function. We'll find out. There's something seriously wrong here. This thing is giving a lot of problems. Okay. So let's execute this and try to understand this query later. Okay, it did. Now what happening is we are creating function add to my argument. Okay, this is oops, sorry. Now that's a variable. Again, this you have to deal a lot with variables. Return integer. Here my argument, you increment that with +2. So what was that before? Before, remember we had this 12, right? So 12 plus 2 is 14. Right, but here let's find out. Let's see here. Alright, let's see here. So we did add 12 to that, and we want to see what's this and try to show here, it's supposed to show 14. Yeah, there you go. So we will try to understand here what's going on, and we will try to wrap up this pretty quick. So here what you are trying to do is create the function, add to whatever the name you want. This is a variable, so whatever you want to give, you can give it. No big deal. You can give my name, your name, whoever name. My argument, again, it's a variable. So these are the variables. Okay. What you are assigning here variable is in it. So that's integers. That means you can assign character, varchar, and be careful with that when you are doing this. If you are doing string operations, it gets more complex. You want to assign varchar, all those things, but we don't want to do that right now. Okay. Returns integers. That means at the end it's supposed to return integers, not character. Okay, great. Begin. So you're beginning your function, and we are doing what? Return. In braces, you're doing my argument. Add +2. So where is my argument? I don't know what you're supposed to do. Okay, so what happened is we created a function called 12 which has the name 12, and with that 12 what we did is we added this to that argument +2, so it ends up with 14. That's how it is. Okay, so we are using this variable. So but the function remains 12. Let's say if I have to see that function, let's say I want to select, that function is still 12. Okay, that will show 12. Oops, some syntax issues. Function name. Okay, so this should return always 12 because we have created a function which is 12. Okay, and my argument, if you want my argument, if you want to select that and put this in braces, that means that's a function. Okay, my arg, what is it? So, yeah, my underscore. So this should be 2. Hold on, it's supposed to be. Oh, cannot select that like that. Well, we cannot select because we are writing here little complex. This is kind of variable. This is not a function, so that's the reason we can't do that. Sorry about that. But if you are, this is a variable, so this don't have to be my argument. This is kind of virtual thing, you know. This gets deleted the moment you execute it. It gets deleted, so there will be nothing because whatever your value you are giving, it adds to that function. But the function remains constant. The function we have created was 12, and we have added to this. Instead of adding 12 plus 2. Now we are just doing this. The reason we have this thing is because this thing is very simple. We are using integer, but when it comes to string, this becomes very complex because you're using varchar, and the way this gets, that is where the AI comes into the picture. Artificial intelligence, you know, it's if-else loop and while do loop, and this becomes so set of thing. It becomes too complex when you use strings. But for now, we'll just be happy with this small functions because we don't want to go deep into that. That thing requires a lot of experience, a lot of work, and a lot of knowledge onto that. But it's not just like that. You have to really work on this seriously. So, but for an example, this should be good. Okay, cursor. Okay, so we'll go to the cursor. is alright, let's go to cursors. Cursors is a command used to associate with, let's say here, you can create cursor. Create a student cursor. Declare student cursor for select name from. The problem is this, we don't have that tab table, so we get this is EMP cursor for email. Alright, I don't think this works, but yeah. So, to do this, you have to do all these things. To create table product type, and this procedure product. Okay, so let's try to do this. So indexes and keys we'll discuss later, but here we'll try to understand these cursors. Okay, so here what we'll do here is we'll just create tables again. There's more and more creation of tables. Let's see, let's create whole, copy this and let's see what happens. Copy this, execute this. This is just creation of tables, so this should not be a big deal. Okay, so we have created table. Okay, great. And now this is the problem that starts here. We'll try to execute this first thing, and does it work or not? We'll see that later. Oh, this is a big stroke procedure. So here we'll just try to see if this thing works here out. So it's pretty complicated here. Yeah, it doesn't work. So this works. Okay, if we do this, I can just do this. Declare p type, declare p at line. Okay, so this is pretty complex here. So this didn't run properly, but this cursor thing is not working. And this was an important topic actually, cursors. But it should work for if you are using this doesn't have admin access, so that will be one of the issue. But here it doesn't exist product count because this thing didn't run. So if this should have ran, declare function is not working. Declare should work. You cannot use cursors if you cannot use declare functions. Why declare function is not working here? That's not good. Okay, so once it would have ran, so the result would be this. So this was so there is no table wrapped underscore, but we'll still try this. So go ahead and try this handout, and also try to download this better database. This complex queries are not working actually. So okay, this thing works. This thing worked. Okay, so here you're trying to get this. Oh wow! So these guys have replaced this whole procedure into just simple 4 lines of code. This thing looks good. Yeah, performance issue will be right. So okay, so let's see multiple result sets. Here what we are trying to create a function. Oh no, this doesn't work because this is host name or IP. We already created a function, so you can create another function, so not a big deal. So that's pretty much about this stored procedure. I guess you have to go ahead and read these notes and try to execute this. We did this one, but cursors are not working. The reason, because declare functions are not working. So declare should have worked. For some reason declares are not working here. Too bad. Okay, so declare would have worked, so we would have got these results, type and count. But nevertheless, for that simple cursor example, this is the better option for you to do this. So that big query shortened up into just 5 lines of code. So that is much more better. Okay, so that's pretty much clear about this functions and as well as stored procedure. Okay, this SQL won't work because we don't have database. So we have database username, but we don't have post ID. So you can try it with your own functions. Go ahead take it as a homework. Try your own function. Create your own function name. Okay, create maybe function. I don't know, function Udemy or whatever you want to know. You can create your own functions. And assign it value, try to run it, you can and then stored procedure is good. You just go into the loops, but function, you can create your own function, but cursor had some problem here. So try to see that, download this the original MySQL database and then try to do that, so it might help. So that's pretty much about stored procedure, functions and cursors. No, cursors are not good, it's really bad. But declare function would have worked, it would have been better. But we'll continue with the next class, with the next time in the next class, because chapter 31. We'll see this indexes and see how this is kind of repeat kind of thing, but the only thing is you're dropping the indexes, all those things. So okay, we'll just save this actually. We'll just save this in particular. Just put stored procedure .SQL. So for you, and I hope you found this tutorial useful, and we'll continue with the next class. Thanks for watching.